Right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, breaking news regarding the future of the Newcastle captain Bruno Guimarães. Dan, you can bring us up to date on what you know.
Yeah, breaking in the last few minutes, Arsenal's opening bid for Newcastle United's captain and midfielder Bruno Guimarães has been rejected by Newcastle. Now, we've been reporting this morning, we've been waiting for confirmation that club-to-club contact had been made. We now have that. And look, Bruno Guimarães, he arrived in Spain to join his teammates today, to arrive for pre-camp in agreement with Newcastle United to show them that respect. But Arsenal have now made their move for the Newcastle United captain. We're just hearing from our colleague Dom Chef as well to add to the story that Arsenal are now discussing internally whether to go back for a second bid. I would imagine they will, because this is a player they highly admire. It
feels a bit of a formality once that ball gets rolling, doesn't it, Sebastian? What does he give Arsenal next season?
Bruno Guimarães?
Yeah.
I think he brings some sort of aggression in a nice way, in a positive way. That grit, that desire, because you could tell he's a very passionate player. That passion, for me, Arsenal was not being lacking it, and that kind of versatility in the midfield, and he's going to take some pressure away from a Declan Rice that's been having that role of doing a lot of things and sometimes being a little bit lost doing too many things. And I think it's a great addition in terms of just, world-class player, that kind of aura, and I think Arsenal needed that. Just on the back of last season, the titles, yeah.
Yeah, you are both with us because we've just had some big breaking news into us, and that is that Arsenal's opening bid for Bruno Guimarães has been rejected by Newcastle. The Premier League champions are now in direct talks with Newcastle over a deal for their captain. So, Julian, let's get your response to that. We know there was interest, but this is the first concrete interest that we've seen, and the bid's been rejected.
Yeah, I don't think there's any surprise there, Gail. I mean, like a Premier League sporting director, one of my favourites actually in the league, has always said to me, you never accept the first offer anyway, unless it's a release clause, and in that case, there's nothing you can do. But you knew that Newcastle would go into these negotiations trying to get as much money as possible for Bruno Guimarães, obviously, and from Arsenal. But we've seen with Arsenal so far this summer that they won't overpay, they won't pay over the odds, or they won't pay over what they believe is the right value for the players, whether that's Bruno Guimarães or Morgan Rogers or anybody else, or Yan Diomande, all those kind of players. So you can understand now that it's a very interesting kind of chess game that is starting between Arsenal and always going to happen around now. It was always going to be rejected, let's be honest. And now the two clubs can discuss it a bit more. I think that Newcastle know how much Bruno Guimarães wants to leave and wants to join Arsenal. I think we know the current situation financially from a Newcastle point of view. And that's one of the reasons why Eddie Howe also left, because he knew that Bruno Guimarães would be sold to Arsenal at some point. It's just that the two clubs have to find the right fee where everybody is happy, and when Bruno Guimarães can seal his deal to Arsenal.
And you've got no doubts it will now go through, and Bruno Guimarães looks set to be an Arsenal player. If they get him, what do they get in him, and how does he fit into this, Premier League champions squad?
I mean, unless Newcastle asks for silly money, but again, that's not in their interest. They need money. The player wants to go, and they want to avoid what we saw with Isak last season, because that didn't bring anything good to anybody. Not Newcastle, not Liverpool, and not Alexander Isak as well. And it'd be silly to do the same again. So I expect this one to go through probably in the next couple of weeks. And then from an Arsenal point of view, in Bruno Guimarães, you not only get one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, but also somebody who has versatility in that midfield three, who can play as a 6, who can play as an 8, who can also play as a 10. We saw him with Seb when he was playing for Lyon, being very comfortable to play as a 10 and dictate the tempo from a deeper position, but also being the last man passing, if you want, from a number 10 position behind a striker. I think he's a wonderful talent on that level. And then he also can press. He is also very press resistant. I think the idea from Mikel Arteta to go and sign him, more than anything else, is how press resistant he is. So if you play against somebody who's going to come and chase you and put pressure on you, and you want to play out from the back, Bruno is the best at that role, really, as a 6. So I fully expect him to play in front of the Arsenal back four and have Rice and Odegaard or Eze on each side of him, and to be able to just control the tempo and dictate everything and face the press from the opposition.
And that is if Vinicius Junior leaves Real Madrid for Arsenal. We know he's only got a year left on his current deal and no new contract agreed yet. Can we see this happening? And if it does, just how big might it be?
Hi guys, yeah, I think anything is possible. I think it's very good for Arsenal to be part of that conversation, to be certainly in the mix in case Vinicius decides to leave Real Madrid. Like you said, he's got only 1 year left on his contract. There will be more negotiations going on between his camp and his agency and Real Madrid for a possible extension. But I think because this is not happening, there's also in parallel talks with other clubs that could potentially welcome Vinicius to their team. So Arsenal is very much one of them. I think there's still a long way to go, one way or the other, whether he stays and extends his contract at Real Madrid or whether he leaves and decides to go to Arsenal. If Arsenal got him, I think he will be an incredible signing. Not so much for Arsenal in the history and where Vinicius is at in terms of the greatest players currently playing football, but also for the Premier League to get somebody from outside of their league as a big money signing coming in, because this is actually quite rare, will be quite spectacular. So I think anything is possible. He reported today, as we expected, for pre-season with Real Madrid and Jose Mourinho, and in the background there will be more talks between the club and his agents.
What's your hunch in this? I mean, how much is this just about negotiating a few extra pounds on that current contract he has, Julien? And how much is this really about him moving on?
No, I think everything is very much on the table, and rightly so. With just 1 year left on his contract, he has to look at other options. Real Madrid have to do the same, and other clubs have to do the same. I think it's as we know, the negotiations for sure, whether he wants to extend or not. But if there's no deal agreed with Real Madrid and Real Madrid say, listen, we can't keep you and let you go on a free in a year time, then of course his camp will have to be prepared with other potential clubs to go to in case those negotiations with Real Madrid, don't go through. So this is completely normal. We see this with a lot of players every summer and every January. I think if you're Real Madrid, you can't let Vinicius Junior go, for example. I think he's very much part of your plans, of Mourinho's plans. He's one of the best players in his position in the world, one of the best players in the world, full stop. So if you're Real Madrid, you have to do everything you can to keep him at the club. But he's in a very strong position, Vinicius, right now, because with 1 year left on his contract, he can very much decide what's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So I think for Real Madrid to be in that position is really interesting.
The return to training marks the beginning.
Julien, there's some pictures of him arriving at Real Madrid training. It's interesting because Sebastian
another important chapter for Arsenal.
Look a
Every
lot
new
at
season starts
personalities
here,
and coaches,
not under the bright lights.
Who fits who. You do a lot of profiling. How do you feel that the likes of Vinicius Junior would work under someone like Jose Mourinho? And it leads into a question a little bit later on, Trent Alexander-Arnold and how he may or may not fit under that new regime.
And the foundations for success
in terms of personality,
for Arteta and
Jose
his coaching.
Mourinho is attracted by people that look like him. And with Vinicius Junior, he sees a bit of
players were put
some
through
sort
a series
of
of demanding fitness tests.
hurt person sometimes. And he can relate because there's been a lot of things being said about Mourinho, and he always came back from the dead.
Designed to prepare them for the challenges
the likes
ahead.
of Vinicius Junior has been in the middle of a lot of talk. Now I think that's the right time for Mourinho to get him under his arm and to really make him come back to the person that he used to be. So I think that would match perfectly between the two.
Do you get that sense as well, Julien, that Mourinho could be the man that takes Vinicius Junior to another level. We've seen some of the players that have really prospered under Mourinho in the past.
The atmosphere around the training ground has been positive from the very first.
I'm not sure how much higher he can go, really, because he's already, he's won them 2 Champions League. We saw
Those
them
who have
having
already
a really good World
returned
Cup with
look
Brazil, even
focused,
if in
energetic,
the end,
and determined
the end result from the collective was disappointing. But I think they can work. I think Mourinho knows
every
very
player
well
understands that
Vinicius
preseason
is
offers
best
a
to
fresh
win.
opportunity.
I think he knows that he needs Kylian Mbappe at his best to win. Same for Jude Bellingham. Other positions would be
to earn
a
a
little
place
bit
in
different. But
Arteta's
we saw the other day in the
before
draw
the
against
competitive
Fiorentina,
fixtures
without
begin.
the players who went far into the World Cup, for example, that Mourinho was not happy at all.
Several
and
senior
see
stars
on
are
his
still
face and
away
what he said
following
to the
their
players
involvement
that
in the FIFA
this is
World
what
Cup
it's going to be this
and are
season.
expected
If he's not happy, and like what Xabi Alonso or Arbeloa did last season, Mourinho
to rejoin the
will
squad
voice
after
it very
completing their
much
scheduled
and
holidays.
will
Their
give
gradual
that kind of
return-
hairdryer treatment to the players, whether you're Vinicius, Mbappe, or whoever else in that squad. So I think this
will
is good, but
strengthen
he
the
also
squad
needs,
even
he
further
knows that he needs
as
those
Arsenal
talents
continue
and
building
those talents
towards
to
the new
play at their
campaign.
best to be able to achieve better things and bigger things than what the last 2 seasons have brought
One
in
player
really
who was notably absent
And
from
Julian, what are you
training is
hearing in
William
terms
Saliba.
of Trent Alexander-Arnold? A couple of rumours that only a year after joining the Spanish Giants,
The French
he might
defender
be on
is
his
currently
way.
recovering
Is he
from a back injury.
Jose Mourinho
Suffered-
kind of player, or do you expect him to maybe move on? And if he does move on, who's going to
during
be
the World
interested?
Cup and remains under the
I
supervision
think
of
the arrival
Arsenal's
of Denzel
medical team.
Dumfries in the summer changes a lot of the dynamic around Trent, because really last season it was him.
While there is
or
no
no
reason
one
for
else.
panic,
Whereas this season
supporters
he
will
has
naturally be hoping to
a
see
lot
one
of
of their most
competition with Dumfries arriving at the club, and I think Dumfries and Trent are obviously 2 very different
important
right
defenders
backs or
return to
full backs,
full
if you want.
fitness
Dumfries
as
playing
quickly as
more
possible.
of his career as a
Saliba-
wing back anyway. But the quality of passing is more for Trent. Dumfries has that pace going forward,
Saliba has
almost as
become
a
a key
winger
figure
type.
in Arsenal's defense
And I think
over the
Mourinho
past few
sees them
seasons.
both are very complementary.
His
There's
composure on
games
the
where you
ball-
will need Trent in your team for sure. There'll be other games where maybe Dumfries is better to play against our opposition.
Ability
So
to read the game
I don't think
and partnership
Mourinho
at the
wants
heart
to
of the
see
back line
Trent
have played a
Alexander-Arnold go this summer. However, for Trent, if he wants to play every minute of every single
major
game
role
with
in the
Dumfries
team's
arriving,
success.
that
His
might be a
recovery
little bit
will be
different. So
carefully
it might be
managed
more from
to
the Trent's camp that things are different. But if you're Mourinho, you want to keep those
Sure, he
2
is fully
fullbacks
ready when the
within
season
your
begins.
team, because you know that
Away
you will
from the
need them
injury
both.
concerns,
Yeah, we're going to turn our attention now to, along with Vinicius Junior, Bradley Barcola has been the story,
Arteta's primary
hasn't he,
focus
of this
remains
summer.
building a squad
Sebastian
capable
Bassong,
of
big
competing at
PSG
the high-
fan, big Julian Laurent fan as well, by the way. You're his hero, he's just been telling me.
Preseason is about much
what's
more
the
than
latest
improving fitness.
situation
is a-
with him, PSG, and obviously that link to Liverpool?
I mean, Sebastian
About
Bassong
creating
is my
understanding
hero
between
anyway.
teammates,
Paris born and bred.
integrating
he knows
your
it
rivals.
already. He's the GOAT. Certainly for us growing up in Paris, he was the example to follow. Barcola is
Refining tactical
the
systems
name that everybody is
and
talking
ensuring
about
every
right now.
player
And I
is
think the things are
physically-
pretty clear right now. And I think we talked about it the last time I was on the show as well. He
mentally
would be happy
prepared.
to join Liverpool.
Every sprint
very
completed
much
during
so,
training,
and I think Liverpool
every-
would love to. Is exactly what they need right now in terms of
Tactical
his
instruction from the
profile, his
coaching
pace,
staff,
and what he can do
and every competitive
with the ball.
drill
There's
serves
a
a
lot of room
purpose.
for improvement. He's only 24 years old, but in terms of end product and finishing and decision making, all that
These
kind
are
of
the
stuff,
moments
there's still
where
much
winning
more
habits
for
are
him to
formed
come
long before the
than
first
what we've
Premier
seen the
League.
last 2 years, especially in Paris. The problem is he's got 2 years left on his contract. And
Whistle is
in
blown.
Paris right now,
Competition for places
if he
is
wants to
expected to
leave
be
or if
fierce.
somebody wants to come and get him, no problem. I think the door would open at the right price. And the problem right now is the price
Young
from a
players will
Liverpool
be
point
eager
of
to
view and a
catch the
PSG
manager's
point of
eye.
view is just
Experienced stars
too
will be
different.
looking.
And the gap between the two is too far. I think for PSG, they are looking at
To maintain their
140,
positions.
150 million
And
euros,
any
which is
new
a lot of money
signings
for
will
a
want to
player
settle into the squad
of
as
any kind. But for Barcola, probably especially at Liverpool, we're more looking at 70 to
possible.
80, maybe 90
Healthy
pushes,
competition
pushing
often
with
brings out
some
the very
bonuses.
best
So
in
that
players.
gap is big for now. It might not be as big in a couple of weeks' time or even in a week's time. But for now,
And
I think the
Arteta will
issue is
welcome the
more on the
intensity.
valuation of the players that
Arsenal's
PSG
preseason
have
schedule
on one
will
side and Liverpool have on the other side.
What do you know about his character, Sebastian? Sebastian? Is he the sort of player that would
Also
just hit
include
the
a
ground
number of friendly matches,
running, adapt
giving
to the
supporters
Premier
their
League?
first
Because
glimpse
obviously
of how the
Liverpool
team
spent a lot last summer, and it took a while for the likes of Villiers to settle in. Frimpong, still question marks about him.
Shaping
So
up.
it's a lot of money
These
to lay
fixtures
out.
provide
Do you think
valuable
he's
opportunities
the right
to build match
profile of
fitness,
player for Andoni Iraola and the way they want to play, but mentality as well?
I think it's a big question mark because he never left
tactical ideas,
France.
and develop
At the end of the
partnerships
day,
across the pitch
when
before competitive.
you've been a great player in your home country and you speak the language and you've never been exposed to a different culture.
Expectations surrounding Arsenal continue
For
to grow
me, regardless
with every
of your
passing.
talent on the pitch, there's a human side of it, of you that you never explored.
Season.
So that's a
Supporters
big
believe
question
this
mark,
squad
and for
has the
me, that's
quality to
where
challenge for the
club's
biggest-
going to make some more digging in terms of how adaptable can he be in terms of his next club.
And Arteta
then
knows that
when you talk
consistent
about
preparation is
football, as
essential.
Julian mentioned, obviously he's got everything for me to be
If those
successful in the
ambitions are to
Premier
be
League.